What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Seahawks Talk with Darwin's Raven on Monday nights.
What up?
Can't
What
miss show.
up?
The can't miss show of every Monday night.
Everybody knows we are the prime time show.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, what's been happening? What's been going on with your Ravens? To be completely
Lamar
honest,
side eye and Jalen Hurts a little bit right now. I think is what's going on. I don't know. My Ravens are kind of just doing their thing. They're willing to go over the cap this season. I'm interested to see how they're going to layer it over the next 3 years, and I'm ready for the draft. How are you? How are you in Seahawks land over there?
Oh, good. Every day just keeps getting closer to the draft, and that's kind of what we're all waiting for. Not a whole lot of news. We released some practice squad guys
Yeah, I saw that
today.
you waived like 4 or 5 people today, correct?
Yeah, nothing of note, to be completely honest.
We had Sheldon Richardson in for a visit. I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, he was with us a couple of years ago. He played all right, but it was kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Sheldon Richardson, Anthony, quarterback.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, he was not with us. He was not with us at all.
You might have had him actually in for a visit though already, so maybe.
Yeah, hopefully he's not with us. We'll see on draft night. You'll be with me in here, so you'll get to see my reaction if we draft him, which probably won't be the best because I don't think that's what they should do right now.
I've seen so much about these top picks. I saw that again. The Panthers are still open about trading down potentially. Like, I don't know
how much of that do you think is really true though.
If they were given an all-time deal like for 3, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
For 3 though, because Arizona's not trading up.
Have you seen the news about Bryce Young? He's canceled all his other visits.
Except for with Houston? Or Carolina?
He's had Houston, Carolina, and Vegas. Vegas. He has had those visits, but he's canceled all 3. That's the only 3 teams he's visited. So a lot of people say it's an indication that Carolina gave him affirmation that he's the pick. But I don't know.
I think it might be call me crazy. I still kind of like Stroud over Young just because of his size.
I get that though. I feel that. I'm in agreement.
But yeah, what's the deal with Lamar's contract? Let's see. Have we gotten anywhere? Have we
No, he said, and of course, today started the beginning of voluntary workouts at the Baltimore Ravens facility. Baltimore actually, I'm trying to get the list right now. Baltimore had a very strong standout for veterans showing up, including guys like Roquan Smith. But of course, Lamar is not there with the contract situation. But so the thing is with I'm sure everyone saw Jalen Hurts got his deal for what, 5 years, I think. Yeah, 5-year, $255 million extension. If that's true, Lamar's deal was basically on par or better. And like Pat McAfee said earlier, if that's the deal, he should have signed it.
But, yeah, what's I don't know. Who knows though, because nobody really knows what the deal actually was.
And that's the hardest part about it. Like, I'm trying to find the exact. Sorry, I had it up earlier. The exact side by side comparison of it.
I mean, I don't know. I've talked to you about this in quite detail before. I've been back and forth with Jalen Carter, and I think it could obviously change by next Thursday. Right now, how I feel is I'm more afraid to pass on him than I am to pick him. Because if we pass on him and he ends up being the next Aaron Donald, we're going to be kicking ourselves.
Yeah, I kind of get that. Like,
it's in such a weird spot because it's like a month ago, if you'd have said Jalen Carter was sitting there at 5, I'd say, oh, nope, you take him. It's like he don't want to like the guy because you hear about.
I've heard a little bit of clamor if he falls that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be very willing to trade up to get him. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I don't know. Because they pick what in. I don't have the order in front of me. Teens.
Playoffs, so I think they're somewhere around like 17 to 19. Somewhere.
Yeah, right in the middle of the pack. I don't know. It's going to be hard to get all the way up there to get him, though.
Yeah. See, here's my thing with the Ravens and Jalen Hurts. So according, to the whole everything we've heard, which I believe what we heard about those numbers for Lamar. Lamar's deal was a $250 million total. Jalen Hurts got $255 million. Now, supposedly Lamar's deal was only a 4-year deal, not a 5-year deal as well, but they didn't really release that. Total injury guarantees, Jalen Hurts got $179.3 million. Supposedly Lamar's number was $175 million, like right on par with this Jalen Hurts. And that's the thing. Supposedly, if they're all colluding and Jalen Hurts, Ravens and brass probably knew the expected market. And I mean, everyone kind of knew. They knew the average market was going to be about 50 million this year, 46 to 50 million. I talked about that in one of my previous videos. But of course, in a year or two, that number is going to be around 60 million, which is what Lamar really wants.
Yeah, I think it's insane to give any player that amount of money. I really do.
I agree.
It's just, it's crazy because, it's not basketball. One guy, yeah, a great quarterback helps. You win Super Bowls, right? But if you have a great quarterback and the worst team, you're still not going to even make the playoffs. In basketball, if you have a shit team, it's worth it. It's worth it to pay a guy $60 million in basketball. It's not worth it in football.
I would love to do a video one day and talk about this. I think people classify quarterbacks a little too loosely. What is a true, top tier quarterback? And I think, I hate to say it, but I know, sound like a fanboy, but Patrick Mahomes showed us this year. They went and traded his number one target, Tyreek Hill, brought in some other guys that other teams were willing to throw away, and replaced him and kept it going. And so everyone used to say the true thing with a quarterback is they should be able to get their receivers, make their receivers better. And then were like, oh, you don't have the weapons. You're not bringing him the weapons. Well, you got to stop arguing he's a top tier quarterback then if you have to bring in all the weapons all the time. Hot take, I guess.
No. I get it.
But, Patrick Mahomes showed us this past year. What's up, Brian and Exotic, for dropping in?
Sorry, go to comments. Exotic soy sauce. Yeah, it's nice seeing you. If you've left already, sorry for not saying what's up. If you're still here, yeah, you probably got to go get some sleep. Here's what Brian said: 49ers hopefully take DTR number one, basically at 99.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll go that early. I don't, Brian. I think he's going to be like a DTR. What do you think? Like a fifth, sixth round pick?
I mean, yeah, I think third's too high. Not that he's not a third round talent, Brian, but I think that he'll be available fourth and fifth, somewhere between fourth and sixth, honestly. And you can snag him there. Of course, you're just going to have to keep a really keen eye on the quarterback board. But I think with this draft is graded, especially at defensive end, like edge rusher, as one of the deepest drafts in history. And I think we're going to see these guys coming off the board for the first 3 rounds. And I think at third round, it's just too valuable a pick at corner and defensive end potentially.
This is one of your people, Chimera.
Oh, Chimera. That's my Bills fan. What's up, Chimera? I haven't seen you in forever.
Your picture's a little creepy, Chimera. I will admit that.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, Chimera, if you have any questions for us, just don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Bryant says DTR stock is rising.
And actually, I have seen a lot of people watching his film. I have seen that he's rising on the draft boards right now.
Now, people are saying Stroud
is too.
People are saying Stroud stock is actually dropping. Really? I don't know if you've heard any of that.
I haven't. But I mean, someone's got to drop, right?
I guess the Texans might not be sold on him and might want to go Levis, is what I'm hearing. or Richardson, which is probably
Did
just a
bring
giant
Harris.
smokescreen. I think he's probably going to go second overall.
I think any team that doesn't go 1-2 right there is making a mistake. Like,
yeah, I mean, even if
Stroud,
he's a bust, even if he's a bust, I still think it's a mistake because it's showing that, hey, we suck, and we're still going to suck next year.
we're okay with mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I do like how DTR threw at the combine. So, and it's one of those ones I'm hoping to do some tape here soon. I promise I'm going to start doing actual tape. Like,
yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for the draft. I'm really excited for our stream next Monday. I really am
oh
because
my God, dude.
I think that'll be the most in depth. I think we might want to do the first 2 rounds. Maybe we'll just do the first round. I just want to go in depth with every pick we make.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Like, it's one of those ones. I wish. I don't know if there's a way for me to show like footage on my channel. I'd be willing to like show footage like of like some of these players. Like maybe cut. I can't cut it up sadly, but it's a little unfortunate. Let me see. Bill's got 6 picks this year.
Yeah, the 49ers have 11 picks, but I think the problem is I know what it's like being a Seahawks fan and having a bunch of picks, but you don't pick until the 3rd round. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sucks. It is so awesome that we have 2 first-round picks this year, and one of those picks is a top 5. One of those picks is a top 5, and we haven't had a top 5 pick since 2009. And it's awesome that we didn't have a top 5 pick, and we have a top 5 pick and made the playoffs last year.
Ravens haven't had like I think when we drafted Kyle Hamilton, we drafted at 14. Even 14 was, we're so used to drafting like 22, 24
That's
usually.
us
Like
too for a long time.
even at 14, my heart was like, oh bro, we could get like a top 5 player potentially. Like it's you could do it. I saw in a recent mock too, the LA Rams actually taking Will Levis 22nd pick, basically, via Baltimore.
That's what's
Baltimore
so weird about
trading back. Like
that's what's so weird about these quarterbacks is I feel like Levis could either go top 5 or in the 20s.
mm-hmm.
And neither I feel like at
agree.
this point it would kind of surprise me if he falls that far. It really would. But I mean, hey, honestly, if Richardson's there at 20, I'll be fine with taking Richardson at 20. It won't bug me that much.
At 20, I'd be happy with that too. I really would.
Chimera says, do you think the Bills should take O-line first round? And I'm trying to even remember what we had them taking.
I know. I'm literally like trying to find back on my. Oh, that's upset. I'm trying to find it.
I think at one point we had him taking Osiris Torrance, maybe. I could be wrong.
Maybe, because I know they did need help on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think they do. Another guy to look out for is in the 2nd round, that John Michael Schmitz. He's a pretty good center. I don't know how you guys are doing at center. And then, God, I wish I had that list in front of me.
Up something real quick. Then I'll be able to think I tell. Oh, the OBJ signing. Okay. So the OBJ signing actually means a lot to Raven fans. So of course, if you didn't have a chance to look at the deal, it's it was reported as a 1-year deal. It's actually like a 5-year deal, essentially. So he's going to be a cap hit of $3 million this year, and then he's going to be a dead hit for I think 4 years after that. The first year being like 11 million, followed by 3 million for the next 3 years. This is Baltimore saying, hey, we're entering like a 1-year window here. We're willing to go over the cap to a degree. But Odell said himself, he was given no guarantee that Lamar was going to be back in the building and playing with him next season. So this could be also that Baltimore knows a draft deal is coming. I've actually got another one I want to do a video on, Joe. I'd love to get your idea on this too. So you and I've talked about this. You talked the theory about Dan Snyder giving the contract to Lamar and doing the fully guaranteed deal.
That would have been sweet.
So let me pose this again, and I've talked to you about this before with the idea of him going to Detroit.
Mhm.
Lamar brings an entire fan base. Baltimore and DC are like that. A brand new ownership team comes in that's willing to give the money, that's ran by an ex-player as well. So it also might help the NFLPA in a sense. 76 owners. He's willing to give Embiid the money. He would give Lamar the money. So new owner comes in for the Commanders before the draft, offers the deal fully guaranteed to Lamar while building a brand new stadium, bringing Lamar to reunite the new Commanders franchise, basically. I mean, if I'm a business owner, I would do that. I would 100% do that as the Commanders owner.
Sells jerseys, and they better change that name. That name sucks. If I was a new owner, I'd be like, hey, let's change our name again.
Well, do you know what happened with that? Like the guy that bought all the names?
Mm-mm.
So there was a genius old Redskins fan that when the news broke that they were going to be changing the name, he went and basically trademarked all the names that he could think of. The Washington, everything you could think of, like hundreds of names because it didn't cost much. Mm-hmm. And then basically was like, oh, if you want a name, you can pay me.
That's awesome.
And so they had to dig deep to find something that he didn't own.
Do you think Dallas drafts a kicker? Honestly, after seeing him in the playoffs, yeah, I think they maybe should think about drafting a kicker. I don't know if they will or not. Maybe they try to get
Brian Culp. They're not going to draft a kicker. They're going to sign your boy as an undrafted free agent.
Jake Moody.
No, they're signing me. I'm going to be a kicker in the NFL, guys.
Oh. Yeah, right.
But no, they're going to definitely find a kicker for sure.
Chimera said Torrance would be such a good pick for us, lack of protection. Yeah. And Josh Allen can't stay healthy taking that many hits for so long.
And that's something I've talked with Chimera about, that I felt like when I re-examined their roster, because I did playing the GM of the Bills, and I was like, I'm sorry, we got to start at the center position and retool from there. And they've kind of done that a little bit, but I think just they need big guys. They could go wide receiver, but it's a deep draft. They'll be able to find one later. The big guys, you got to find them early.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Oh, sorry.
Does OBJ affect your draft board? I wouldn't let it. I'd treat it just as if you didn't have OBJ.
I agree. It doesn't for me. Yeah, I think there's just going to be those guys, and you got to hopefully there's certain ones there. I've seen a lot of the hype of the Ohio State kid falling to us. And like I said, I love him, but the injuries scare me.
Yeah, JSN.
But considering it's a 1-year deal, I wouldn't let it affect my draft board.
Heard that Cowboys might sign Robbie Gould. Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, the Cowboys
He's reliable.
And the Cowboys like old players. Mm-hmm. It seems like. Lamar needs to understand that just because Cleveland shot themselves in the foot doesn't mean. Yeah, no, that makes 100%.
I'm 100% with you on that, Wild Horse. Just because they gave a bad deal, it's like, and I saw recently an article talking about it. It's why owners stopped giving running backs contracts. How did the Zeke deal really work out? Mm-hmm. How did Trent Richardson contract work out? The list goes on and on of these running backs, that it didn't work out. And like, again, I'm sorry that's the numbers show that, mm-hmm. Maybe again, like Austin Eckler, maybe you're the exemption, my guy, but
Frank Gore, another one that can play past 30, but not a lot of them can play past 30. And especially with like Lamar being, I know this is kind of a dick move, but being hurt so much.
Facts are facts. 6 games, 2 seasons, and all the same, and kind of the same window. Like, it's. And I'm a big guy. If you can't be on the field to help me.
Later, Chimera, I think we're gonna get into our greatest coaches, huh?
Yeah, I'm down for it.
All right. So we'll do greatest of all time first. And you'll see my lists kind of contradict themselves. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute.
And Brian, I'm still high on that Stanford kicker. Joshua Cardi, I believe is his name. Yeah, that's my guy for the draft. Kickers. I know you like Moody, but I think Cardi's going to be the steal.
Which way does Purdy always roll out? Which way does Stevens always lean his head? Got film on us now. Steve-O's a troll. Steve-O's like my favorite troll in any community. He's Steve-O's super cool. He's a 49ers fan. He always makes smart ass comments. He's the best.
He leans left and Purdy rolls right. No, I'm just kidding.
He was giving me shit about that. He's like, Joe, why is your head always tilted? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm lazy. My neck will go like this.
I get shit too because I have two monitors and my actual camera is on my second screen, so I'm always like.
Anyways, yeah, we'll do top 10 coaches of all time. So first off, we got Joe Gibbs.
Okay.
Can I give an honorable mention first to two coaches that didn't make the list?
Let's hear it.
So one of them would be George Halas, just because I was looking at his all-time wins. He's the second all-time winningest coach, and obviously he was like huge. He coached the Bears forever. But at the same time, I don't know much about him because he was a coach in the 1920s until the 60s. So you'll kind of see I don't really have a lot of coaches from that era on my list, if that makes sense.
I get that. Like, no.
And also the other honorable mention would be Urban Meyer. I think he's a great leader of men. I'm kidding.
I was like, Joe, hold on a minute.
These are NFL coaches, by the way. We'll do Joe Gibbs. I put him on the list because he's the only coach to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. I think that's a pretty hard feat to accomplish.
I'd say so.
And he owns a racing team. I mean,
real? Oh, I was about to say, yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yep.
Yeah,
Hall of Fame inductee. Yep.
Yeah. Anything to add about Joe Gibbs, or you think that's a pretty good spot, 10?
I mean, I'm trying to like find him on the list like of wins too right now, and I'm like, I don't see him on the wins. He's one of those ones I don't remember him too well myself. Like
Redskins coach. He won with Theismann, Williams, and another guy I can't remember.
Yep. 3-time Super Bowl champion. First hired in 1981. He won 1982, Coach of the Year, 1983, Coach of the Year, and then 1991, the year after I was born.
So, like I said, 9. A lot of these guys most of these guys are older. Bud Grant goes in my top 10, and he'd probably be higher if the Vikings would have won a Super Bowl. He is the one that took the Vikings to all those Super Bowls in the 70s.
Okay.
The Purple People Eaters defense with Jim Marshall, Alan Page, and then there was another guy. But yeah, he's a great one. Here's one you'll know. Number 8, I got Bill Parcells. And I almost
the franchise whisperer.
I almost put him higher. He was almost too much of a dick to even put on the top 10 though. So
I know it's tough to deal with his ego a little bit. But like from my understanding of Bill Parcells is that like Bill Parcells is considered someone to turn around a franchise. Like, and he was brought in basically always to do that. I'm trying to remember, where did he get his start again? Was it no, it wasn't the Dolphins.
The Giants.
Yeah, the Giants.
Yeah, that was his first head coaching job.
I was trying to see if I could
find a lot of these guys you'll notice too. You look at their coaching tree, like, and there'd be some names on it, like Bill Parcells to Belichick to Nick Saban to all those guys. It's just insane.
Oh, David said he wants to come in and talk, by the way.
Maybe in a minute. Let's get through this list first, David.
Heard.
I'm
sure we're gonna have Bill Walsh on this list too, by the way. Wild. There's no way. Like,
no, I'm just kidding.
What's up, bro?
7, I got Tom Landry, just another one of those iconic coaches. I don't think there's many.
Yeah, Landry led the Cowboys 250 regular season wins and 20 playoff wins, it says, I believe.
These are all, and believe it or not, these are all just kind of off the top of my head too. So I'm not going with a lot of stats. I'm almost just going like, when I think in my head, who are the top 10 coaches of all time, these are the guys I think of. Okay. So number 6, you got Chuck Noll. Very impressive. Coached the Steelers
Mm-hmm.
Turn him from absolutely nothing to a dynasty. Chuck Noll did. I mean, he came in. I remember hearing about him. He came in and said something like he showed up to like the first training camp or something and goes, let's be honest. Most of you aren't going to be on the team this fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of those
He pulled a
guys.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
That's what Deion did at the University of Colorado.
Yeah, and I thought he was kind of a douche for that. I didn't like his speech.
Hey,
he kind of looked
when
like
you
an
know,
asshole.
you know, though. Like,
I just don't like the way he speaks. I think it's just, too emotional for me.
I get it though. Yeah, Chuck Noll sitting number 8 on the all-time win list at 193 regular season wins, 16 playoff wins. So you can't really argue too much on that. And the Steelers, what they used to call the Iron Curtain back in the day.
Steel curtain, yeah.
Steel. Oh my god.
Duh.
Oh my god, forgive me. But
it's cool. We could have rolled with it. Don't worry. We got Bill Walsh at number 5. Another one. Just like honestly, between number 1 and number 7, you could really just rearrange these in any way you want. But Bill Walsh, part of the reason I put him ahead of Chuck Noll and Tom Landry is really just because of the coaching tree he had. I mean, you have Mike Holmgren. Pete Carroll was part of a Bill Walsh staff at one point. Like, he's had so many good guys come through, and then obviously Andy Reid was with Mike Holmgren. Stuff. I mean,
like Wild Horse said, Bill Walsh revolutionized football. He really did.
Yeah, for sure. And you could really switch him, and my number 4 is Don Shula. You could switch those two. The only reason I put Shula ahead of Walsh is just because he's the only perfect season coach.
Exactly. And technically all-time winning, 328 regular season wins, 19 playoffs. So all-time regular season champion, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard, like it's tough because like Walsh did really well, but like just numbers, scoreboard, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Number 3, we got Paul Brown. Pretty insane, when a team literally names their entire franchise after you. He's an old school NFL champion before the Super Bowl with the Browns. I mean, you think about those 50s Browns, which obviously I wasn't alive to even think about. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Paul Brown on here.
Technically number 7 on the list, 213 regular season wins, 9 playoff wins. So actually,
and think about how many more that would have been if they were playing a 16-game schedule back then, though.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like a lot of these coaches, like, I mean, he's like one of them. You saw Hallis was number 2 on the all-time coaching list. Imagine, he coached in the 20s. They were probably playing 8 games a year. Something like that.
I think so. Something like that. Like the XFL is now.
Yeah, exactly. Number 2, I got Bill Belichick.
It's hard to argue with Bill. Like the success, the dynasty of the Patriots, even though they might have cheated, I feel like every coach everywhere along the line has slightly cheated. Like,
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I have no problem with Bill Belichick like a lot of people do. And we lost a Super Bowl to him. I have more of a problem with Tom Brady. Everybody loves Tom Brady. I don't like Tom Brady anymore. People went from hating Tom Brady to everybody liking Tom Brady. So I don't know. That happened when he went to Tampa, I think.
Might have cheated?
Yeah, no, definitely cheated. Lots of times.
That's like I give, and like I'm a Ravens fan. We battled Bill Belichick and Brady in the playoffs and the AFC playoffs for years. Like it went back and forth for a while. And respect the shit out of that man. Like it's like, why you gotta cheat too though? Like you're so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Frustrating, but
and number 1, I think, is just about everybody's number 1. We have Vince Lombardi. I mean, the Super Bowl trophy's named after him. He's won the first 2 Super Bowls. Just iconic, his old school videos, right, on NFL films. I mean, I don't think there's much to argue with there.
Yeah. I've seen some arguments. The reason he's not the GOAT is supposedly his era wasn't as competitive. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I guess the league was only made of 14 teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, it's one of those ones. He's kind of like Walsh. He changed the face of football, and that's again why we named the trophy after him.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. You had Tom Landry on the list. Yeah, you had him earlier.
Yeah. Who's on the top 10 winningest coaches I didn't have on the list?
So
obviously Hallis would be second.
Yeah, let me go. Sorry, I had a different one pulled up for that. So number one all time is Don Shula, like we said, 300 including playoff, 347 wins. Bill Belichick is currently number two on that list with 329, with including an incredibly impressive 31 playoff wins. The next highest on that list is 22, and that's Andy Reid. Behind that, 20 with Tom Landry. Like, that's hard to beat. Like, no one's going to catch Belichick. No one's catching Belichick anytime soon. And the fact that let me see, how many games away is he from catching Don Shula now?
A lot. It was a lot. I just looked. It was almost 100, I think.
Well, it says he's got 329 to his 347. Let me double check.
Oh, is that what that is?
Let me find this one. Let me double check when the article, February 13th, 2023. That's pretty recent. So he's only like left 20, what's that? 18 games? No. Hold on. I'm dumb. I'm going to pull up a calculator just to make sure I don't get this wrong.
Is that including playoffs or just regular?
Yes, that is including playoffs. Yeah, he's including playoffs, 18 games away.
Wow.
Yeah, from all time. So technically, if he had like a perfect season next year, he could catch Don Shula.
Percentage on there? On the one you're looking at?
Not on this one, but I could get it.
No, that's fine. Want to get to top 10 current coaches?
Oh, yeah. Down.
I figured that one will be a little more, less.
Mm-hmm. And I've actually got that win list up too.
Number 10, I got Sean Payton.
Really? Okay. Number 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just bring it back to what Steve-O said earlier. If you cheat, you suck. And the only Super Bowl he won, he was paying his defensive players to injure the opposing team's quarterback. So,
yeah.
Nobody brings that up with Sean Payton. They bring that up that he's a Super Bowl champion, but they always bring up the fact that Belichick cheated.
And I talked about it, there was a potential that they were listening in on the plays and everything as well. And I remember that season talking to my friend and going, man, it's like, dude, he knows where to put it. Like everyone said he lost a little bit of that arm, but it's just, he's still just finding the holes. And now he might have known why.
Yeah.
I honestly, I could have kept him off my top 10 just for the fact, everything he did. Like
I almost put Zach Taylor there instead. But
I would have proved it. I would have proved that.
Yeah.
I think he's a young guy. I love him. Even though he's a rival, I love him.
Now, number 9, I have Dan Campbell. He reminds me of just kind of an old school football coach. I just like his energy, right?
When he first got the job, I didn't like him. But man, has he turned that team around.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was the ultimate cornball when he first started. And even watching Hard Knocks, everybody fell in love with him at Hard Knocks. I didn't even really like him, but I don't know. There's something about him that I don't even like the Lions anymore. I really don't. But I do like him. I do like him.
They're going to be such a fun team to watch because either they are going to take a huge step next year,
hopefully,
or if the sophomore slump hits, that team is going to be the old Lions.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they relied a lot on their draft class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I just
kind of same could be said about us too, and you.
I like the way that Dan Campbell coaches. It almost kind of reminds me of an old school football coach, just kind of getting in your face a little bit, but also kind of being your buddy. I don't know. I like him.
I agree. I like it. I dig the energy.
Number 8, we got Jaguars coach Doug Peterson. What do you think?
Yeah, the former Eagles, man. I mean, I think he's part, if I'm not mistaken, He part of the McVay tree?
No,
trying to
I
look it
think
up
Andy
now.
Reid.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I'm
Yeah,
trying
he
to
was.
pull it up here now.
Yeah, because what the Eagles did was they fired Andy Reid, hired Chip Kelly, hired Andy Reid's offensive coordinator.
It's just crazy. Like I'm looking at like case in point, Bill Walsh's, Steve Mariucci led to John Gruden, who led to Andy Reid, who led to Marty Morningwig, Ray
No,
Rhodes, who led to Bill Callahan, who led to Mike McCarthy, who led to Sean Payton, who led to apparently,
yeah,
no, I'm doing it. Sorry, the wrong way, but
no, I get you. You're a little off with the Gruden and
yeah. Technically, it's the other way. So Shula, Kubiak, Tun, Dungy, Gruden, McCarthy, Fox. If I'm not mistaken, or some shit like that. I don't know.
I know. So Walsh has Holmgren, obviously Mike Holmgren,
Yeah.
and then Holmgren had Andy Reid as his offensive coordinator and John Gruden as his quarterbacks coach back in the day in Green Bay.
Yeah, so like Bill Walsh had Mike Holmgren, and then I guess Mike Holmgren did. Yeah, Andy Reid, Steve Mariucci, John Gruden, Morningwig. But then it's like I know John Harbaugh came from Andy Reid. The way they did this chart's a little weird. I was trying to find a really good one.
Number 7, I have the Bills coach Sean McDermott. I didn't really know where to put him. I think he's a top 10 coach in the league. I don't know a whole lot about him. I know he's
That's Chimera's guy. If Chimera's still here, Chimera's a little critical of him. He's like a good coach, but like I don't know.
I think
he messed up some key situations.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. Top six. This is kind of like the top 8 of my all-time. The top 6, I think you can kind of.
Of course, he's part of Andy Reid's tree.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, I got that up here right here. Yeah, basically part of Andy Reid's staff, and you replaced Steve Spagnuolo back in the day, which we all know Spagnuolo.
So, top 6 is like, I think you could scramble these around as much as you want and kind of mismatch them and put them wherever you want them. And I think the top 6, I think, is kind of the elite level of coaches.
I'm interested to see who your top 6 is.
That have been around the block for a while.
Okay.
Number 6, I got your guy, John Harbaugh. I know you don't like him, but I think he deserves to be in the top 6.
Of current coaches?
Yeah, current coaches. Where would you put him?
I know. I'm trying to think. Like current coaches. I mean, 6. Like I'm looking at like the all-time win list, and it's funny. He ranks 6 on the all-time current coach win list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 158 total wins. So still not even half. Like basically not even half of Belichick's.
Yeah, but he's been a coach about half.
Exactly. I'm thinking about it. I could not agree. I don't think so.
Where'd you put him?
I'd still put him in top 10. But I think guys like Zach Taylor, these younger guys that are coming up, I think the guy that just took over the Colts from the Eagles as well. I think Bonimi's going to be in this conversation as well. I don't know. I just think he's still top 10, but I think lower than 6. Maybe like 8 or 9.
No,
let me hear why.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I think by the end of this, you'll notice one coach I left off the top 10 list, and you're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Okay.
Number 5, we got Mike Tomlin. And I could put him at 1. I could put him at 5. He's one of those guys. I really like Mike Tomlin. If I was to choose a head coach of a football team, completely unbiased, that's probably who I'd choose to start my team.
I mean, it's hard to argue. He's one of my rivals, and I love the dude. I love him. I respect him as a coach. Mike Tomlin is the reason. Is actually one of the factors John Harbaugh still has his job, because you can see when a franchise has a long-term coach, you have stability. And when they a few years ago, when Harbaugh was really on the hot seat, Biscotti was thinking about even renewing his contract. Biscotti, our owner, talked about how he talked about how Mike Tomlin had a bad year too, and the owners of the Steelers stuck with him. So it's like I hate him, but God, I respect and love the dude. I love his energy. I love his take on it. I wish we could coach wide receivers as well as he does, apparently, but
Yeah, that is insane what they do with receivers there. And it's weird that defensive-minded head coaches always seem to find offensive gems in the draft or in free agency. So
is that why Harbaugh can't find one? He's a special teams coach.
exactly, Harbaugh can't find shit. I'm kidding.
Baltimore, though, has a horrible history of drafting wide receivers, so let's not get it twisted.
Number 4, I got Bill Belichick. Now, he actually ranked higher on my all-time coaches.
Okay, and that's what you were saying about the contradicting.
Yeah, he actually ranked higher on my all-time coaches than he did in my current coach list. But currently, if I were to make a list, like I said, starting with these guys, I think currently he's behind 3 other guys in the NFL.
And see, so I can kind of understand your reasoning here, like because he had his prime.
Exactly.
I think and of course, he's still like bending the rules to a degree that the NFL is having to literally change rules to stop him from doing stuff. So in that regard, I respect him, but I feel like in some essences, he's still looking for old school traits in some players when he needs to change and adapt a little more. But
and one thing about Belichick, though, is
I'd have Belichick number 2 on my list, I think.
Current?
Yeah, for sure.
One thing about Belichick, though, he's probably one of the only coach GMs that I can remember working out. Because usually people hire coach GMs, they either A, get fired, or B, they hire an actual general manager to be the face of that. But he's done it for so long, and it's worked out. He's a great mind. He really is. I just don't think he's got it as quite as much as he used to.
Exactly. I might be a little out of his prime, but that man, a dude, is still reading the rule book, interpreting the rules, and figuring out like loopholes that every year they have to like close. Basically, they recently had to do one of them, but he had to have all the reporting rules had to be changed because of formations he was doing to start with.
Yeah. So number 3, we have Kyle Shanahan, 49ers head coach.
You got Kyle ahead of Bill. I don't know if I could have done it. But
yes, I could. Because currently, so you look at Bill Belichick's old school schemes and formations he used to fuck around with, right? And then you look at what Kyle Shanahan's doing now. I mean, I'm not saying he's as good a coach as Bill Belichick, but he is a pain in the ass to deal with. We have to play him twice a year. He is a pain in the ass to deal with.
And what was that? He was part of it. Trying to remember that with the old Redskins coaching staff. Yeah. Who was all on that staff? Yeah, McVay,
LaFleur, and Shanahan, all in the same office.
I swear there was even more.
Well, Mike Shanahan, his dad was the coach, and that's why I think Kyle Shanahan really obviously got it from his dad. He's a good coach. I don't know if Bryant or any 49ers fans have anything to say about that, where I put him, because I know number 2 is going to piss you off because I put Pete Carroll ahead of Kyle Shanahan. And you could, like I said, you could flip-flop these top 5 all you want, but when it comes to a motivator, I don't think there's anybody than Pete.
So it's one of those ones. Shanahan, if I had to choose someone to actually design a playbook themselves and develop it around a player, basically, I think Shanahan's the guy. But if you're looking for someone to run a team of managers and leaders, Pete Carroll's your guy every time. I would liken John Harbaugh to Pete Carroll, and I don't know, and Mike Tomlin. They know how to run a team, not just in the players, but their coaches.
And obviously, I don't know much about Shanahan compared to Pete Carroll, but I know one thing about Pete Carroll is that Pete can take somebody that somebody thought, oh, he's washed up, he can't do it anymore, for granted, prime example, Geno Smith last season, right? Nobody believed in him, right? Well, Pete Carroll believes in you, and he'll get the best
Mike
out of you.
McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins, was on that Redskins coaching staff, yeah, as well. So for those for the new geniuses, we're all on that staff.
Yeah. Pete Carroll, Pete's awesome. There's been so many guys. Marshawn Lynch, Buffalo, has an attitude problem, right? Oh, nobody likes Marshawn. Blah blah. He's a handful.
Dude, I love that guy.
But you wouldn't have if he would have stayed in Buffalo. Nobody would really think much about him, right? And I think Marshawn's even said.
I think he let Marshawn be himself more.
Exactly. Marshawn Lynch with Bill Belichick wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have.
Exactly.
The fact that Bill Belichick let Gronk do what he wanted to do, that was, I think, the first time he was like, "Oh, I got to change. If I want to keep these star players, I got to be a little looser." But
yeah, I don't know, Pete. There's just been so many guys. I mean, think about how many personalities were just on that Super Bowl winning team.
I think Mac Jones gets traded in the draft too. By the way,
I don't think so.
I think he gets traded. I've seen more and more rumors about him being shopped.
Ryan Culp says Pete is definitely a good coach. Shout out UOP. So Pete Carroll, I guess, was the coach of University of Pacific back in the day, which I didn't even know, and I read his book, so I just probably didn't remember it.
And see, my problem with Carroll and Harbaugh, right? Carroll learned his lesson and adapts better. Mm-hmm. Harbaugh, case in point,
I don't know about that.
We have something called the Harbaugh Doghouse here in Baltimore. And it basically means if you get on Harbaugh's bad side for any reason, he will take all of your reps away. Tyson Williams.
Never heard of him.
Was the year before when we were decimated by injuries. Edwards was hurt. Dobbins was hurt. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember his name. Justice Hill was hurt. We were literally signing dudes off the street. We brought in Tyson Williams. And don't get me wrong, and so my argument was this: they were like, "Oh, well, he just has pass protection issues, and that's why he's not getting reps." I'm like, "You're literally trading a halfback every down. You're bringing in other guys for the passage. Everyone knows that. So you're already doing this." And he couldn't get a single rep, and he was by far the most talented. Now, of course, he had some fumble issues that I didn't like, but it's we had nobody. Darren Waller. The reason he did not ever get playing time in Baltimore is because he would go out there in training camp, ball out, preseason, ball out. But then when it actually came time, he could never get reps. Gus the Bus Edwards never got reps because Harbaugh didn't like him. And he chose Mark Ingram over him. That's my problem. Harbaugh gets in this way where he's like, "I don't like this guy." Almost like an old Bill Belichick, and and then he gives reps that are very valuable to younger players, to veterans, and inhibits the progress of our younger players. And
that sounds quite the opposite of what Pete does.
Exactly. I love Pete.
There's been so many guys that have came in, right? And they go, "Oh, man, he's had attitude problems other places." Well, we have no problem with that. I mean, look at the 2013 Seahawks. How many personalities were on that team? I mean, eventually, when you stop winning as much, those personalities turn into egos, and then that becomes a problem.
Yeah. Everything's fine when you're winning.
But the fact that he managed all those guys and such, and just let them be themselves. Shout out David McNiner in the chat. What up, Joe and Levi?
Hey, what up?
Who the fuck wants Mac Jones? He's James Richard Hospital Ball Garoppolo 2.0.
You're not wrong, though. I like Mac Jones, but he ain't got no arm. He don't throw with velocity. He's a timing quarterback.
I
think he's going to be a perennial backup here in a few years, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be that guy that's just traded around all the time, the backup guy.
We can talk shit about Mac Jones all we want, but I can tell you one thing. Just purely watching, he's a lot better than Zach Wilson. I will give him that.
I mean, I'll take Zap, though. I'll take Zap over Mac all day, dude. I like watching Zap play. The ball just comes off his hand. It explodes.
Have you seen how much they look alike?
Who?
Zappy and Jones?
I have not actually. Hold on.
Just Google it while I. But yeah, no, I just Google that.
Like Mac Jones, you said?
Yeah, Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi look like. Number 1, I got Andy Reid.
I do kind of see it though. Not gonna lie, I see it.
Yeah, just look at the side by side photo. Number 1, I got Andy Reid. I don't think they're. Somebody can try to argue it in the comments, but I really don't see many guys doing the weird things that Andy Reid does. And what I think
Andy Reid is taking Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll and putting them together, basically.
Yeah, a little bit, because he's not really a hard ass. He's not really too much of a nice guy.
He likes to have a cheeseburger.
Yeah, so he's a Mike Holmgren guy, right? Which Mike Holmgren was our coach from 1999 through 2008.
And Holmgren was a GM, correct, if I'm not mistaken, as well in some places.
Yeah, he was at first, and that's one of the guys that didn't work out. So we hired an actual general manager. Yeah, Andy Reid, just one of those guys. And I think he wouldn't be as good as he was if he didn't get fired from Philadelphia. One of those guys. I think he learned from his mistakes. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of coaches on this list actually could be bullshitting. So let's look. Well, at least Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Doug Peterson, Sean Payton. Well, Sean Payton doesn't count because he quit, but they've all been fired. And they know what they've messed up on.
I'd rather McVay wasn't on your list.
That's the one that I figured you were going to ask about. I think McVay is overrated.
Man, but he's like Zach Taylor came from him though.
Yeah, but I really just don't like Sean McVay. His face pisses me off. His haircut pisses me off.
He's kind of cocky. I'm not going to argue that. He's cocky.
The Rams piss me off. Who knows if he even wants to be a coach anymore? That's another reason I left him off this list. The last game last year, they're going, oh, maybe he's going to work for Fox next year, CBS or Amazon, whoever he was talking to.
Yeah, they offered him big money, if I remember correct.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just
one of those ones. I think what it was, too, is because he was part of the Washington staff, right? I think all of those dudes are on a mission to, prove a point to the older guys in the NFL. Because I think the young guys had a hard time breaking through for a while, and I think McVay was the one that started breaking all these people through, the younger coaches through. Because he was the youngest head coach in the NFL at one point, I think, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was, but I don't know. McVay kind of he rubs me the wrong way. I could put him probably at 7 if I had to. I could put him at 7. I don't think he's better than anybody in the top 6. I don't think he's even better than Harbaugh.
It's one of those ones. I feel like I've talked about. I'd made the joke with Harbaugh. I don't think John Harbaugh is a good football coach, but he's a great leader of men. It's one of those ones. So when it comes to X and O's, guys like McVay, Taylor, exactly. Andy Reid too. Andy Reid's one of those ones that you wouldn't expect. He's the best of both worlds. I wish Harbaugh would be more like Andy Reid. Well, it's Andy Reid's offensive system. It's not John Harbaugh's offensive system. It's a
lot of these coaches, Andy Reid, for example, how good would he be without Mahomes? Right? We don't know. Mm-hmm. Well, we do know. He's been a good coach for a long time. But also, how good would Mahomes be without him?
Mm-hmm. And that is a big question.
Even when Andy Reid does retire, because he will one day, and Mahomes will play longer than Reid will coach, mm-hmm. It's not going to matter because Andy Reid's the one that groomed him to be who he is.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
But Sean Payton's another one. Can he coach without Drew Brees? We don't know.
And that's I think honestly his and of course the whole cheating thing, I think his last years were cut short by not being able to move on from Drew Brees. Because Drew Brees didn't, his arm was gone in the later mm-hmm. years of his career. And I'm man, if you could have, case in point, brought in Brady at that point, just because we saw Brady was still able to sling it at least for that last year. where he won the Super Bowl. I mean, not to the best, but looked like
My
Peyton
biggest
Manning
problem with
waiting.
Peyton, like I said, I know it was over 10 years ago, but when your defensive coordinator is handing out bounties to injure Brett Favre and Kurt Warner, those guys, that's bullshit. And you win the Super Bowl, and guess what? Everybody just forgets about it. Why? Why does everybody forget about it? Because he does this on the sideline. He does. I don't like him one bit. I hope he fails. I hope him and Russell Wilson fail. I hope it goes as well.
I kind of think Russell Wilson's going to have some lingering pain from flipping a golf cart today or yesterday.
Yeah, anybody in the chat, I don't know. So everybody in the chat, I think right now is some guys that I go on with all the time. Yeah. And one thing they know is I can't stand Russell Wilson at all. Like somebody brought up the other day, Jimmy G playing the 49ers would be like Russell Wilson playing the Seahawks. Not even close. Russell Wilson went up to the owner and tried to get his head coach and general manager fired, and the owner was like, okay,
bye.
Yeah, exactly. And look at how it works without Pete, right? Everybody said that Russell always carried Pete, and now I think you're finding out that it was the other way around. The reason they didn't let Russ cook wasn't because Pete just wanted to hold him back from winning MVPs. Like the article came out that said,
yeah, that's nuts that anyone would say that. Like,
yeah, and Russell thought that Pete Carroll was trying to hold him back from winning MVPs, and I think he was trying to save him from himself, and he really did. And
yeah, I agree with that.
At the end of the day, it benefited us because we have the number 5 overall pick this year. And thank you, Broncos. Let's ride.
I know, God, I'm envious of y'all's situation because you had it's not like in the Lamar situation. Lamar's kind of in his prime. Russell was kind of heading out of his prime a little bit, and not like like quarterback can stay. Their longevity is great because it's not like a halfback. Tom Brady played God knows how many years, but Russ just took too many hits, and it wasn't all the O-line's fault. It wasn't the game planning's fault. It was him not making throws and holding the ball. And I didn't watch a lot of his film, but that's what it seemed like to me.
Well, and here's the reason last season was awesome. So last season was awesome because we made the playoffs without Russell Wilson. We watch Russell Wilson lose every week, and not only lose like he was playing good. I mean, he looked like shit. It's not like they had a top 5 defense in the NFL last year. I mean, their defense was insanely good. If they would have scored like 17 points per game or something like that in the first 10 weeks, I think they'd have been like 7-3 or something. But it was the opposite. They were like 3-7.
Dude, I'm ecstatic for this next season. Baltimore might be running an air raid offense.
Yeah,
that's actually with the that's what he ran in Georgia, and he's ran a lot of spread 3-4 wide receiver sets. So I'm ecstatic to see it because if everyone's healthy, it's going to be Odell, Bateman, and Duvernay out there, and Mark Andrews 100%. That means, and we want Dobbins out there, so that's going to be the set almost every time, and then possibly another wide receiver in there. I'm ecstatic. It's just Baltimore hasn't had a different offense, and even when we changed to this quarterback running Greg Roman, it was never exciting for me. Don't get me wrong, Lamar's running is exciting, but the offense just didn't move correctly. And everyone knows Greg Roman had a hard time getting play calls in. We were forever late getting the play call in.
Yeah. And that was another problem with Pete for a long time. I'm sure you 49ers fans can remember this. So Pete Carroll, we've always had delay of game problems and burning timeout issues, right? Well, all of a sudden you see it this year and it's not a problem anymore, but you look over in Denver and it is, and they're blaming their head coach. Well, why are you blaming your head coach if this guy's been doing this for the past 10 years? The 49ers fans, what I'm talking about. So in 2019, it was our last home game, and the game was for the division. If we'd have won that game, we'd have finished 12-4. They'd have finished 12-4, but we had the tiebreaker because we beat them once already. But in the end, we finished 11-5. They finished 13-3. I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the situation. We get the ball down to like the 1 yard line, right? And everybody's all fired up. And then you look at the clock. I think we don't have any timeouts left, and the play clock expires. That was just one prime example of that. So instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch, who we just signed the week before that, everybody's going, oh shit, we're gonna give it to Marshawn. Instead, we're from the 6 yard line, and their defense is no joke. So it's not.
The Niners had a really good defense back then.
Still do.
I mean, still
do to this day. I mean,
yeah,
probably better than they did before. But
yeah, I'd argue that.
Yeah, man, it was just those issues with Russell, and
then they talked about it. It was the play band thing. It's why would you not wear it? Like
Tom Brady wears it.
Every quarterback in the NFL wears it. Why are you better than everyone else, Russ? Like you're not. You're not that much better.
Yeah, exactly. I can't stand him. He's fake. He's just if there's one guy, and it started in 2 seasons ago. That's when I was ready to move on. As soon as he put out that list of 4 teams, I was like, all right, fuck it. Yeah, let him go.
At that point, go. Exactly. Well, in case where like Lamar's came out and said, I want to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my guy. Like at that point, obviously we both ready to move on. Like,
oh, hey, what about Budda Baker? You guys think you're gonna try to make a run for him?
No, not us. We don't need him.
I thought you just traded your safety, Chuck Clark.
Well, we traded Chuck Clark because we drafted Kyle Hamilton, number 14 overall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we signed the year before Marcus Williams from the Saints to a 5-year mega deal. And dude, Marcus Williams at the beginning of the season was leading the NFL in interceptions. Like he was killing it. And then I think he dislocated his elbow or wrist and he missed like 5 to 9 weeks. And while he was gone, it was hard.
The interceptions leader in the NFL this year wasn't very much. It was C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Tariq Woolen. They both only had 6. Woolen's the rookie for us. They both only had 6 interceptions. Usually it's a guy who'll have like 9,
Yep. Yeah, let me see. So he started the first 5 weeks. And came out week 1. Dude, week 1 as the free safety had 10 tackles, 2 assists, so 12 total, as well as a pass defended and an interception returned for 33 yards. Came out next week, 10 combined tackles, 2 pass defenses, 2 interceptions. Came out the next week, played well for like the next 3 weeks, and then, like I said, he messed up his it was either his wrist or his elbow, and he didn't come back till week 14. But came back week 14, his first week back, pass defended, intercepted. Like him and Kyle Hamilton and Chuck Clark at the end of the season, our 3 safeties were playing out their minds.
Yeah, we have 3 starting caliber safeties on our team now. Well, I don't know. Like you've heard me talk about Jamal Adams before. I don't think he's starting caliber safety, but we're paying him $19 million a year, so he better be.
Hey, in my opinion, that just means that's money next year to go get someone like a true star.
Yeah, right? So we'll see. I'd love to get. They should have drafted Budda Baker to begin with. And
who else requested trade? Budda Baker and somebody else.
Hopkins. For the
Hopkins, of course, but I feel like there's another bigger player, not Austin Eckler, of course.
Running back?
No, it wasn't a running back. I know Quinnen Williams didn't show up for camp or training today as well either. I'm going to try to see if I can find it now.
I think from the Seahawks, I think just about everybody showed up today that was supposed to show up. Gino was in the building, Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Draymond Jones. We got to see it. They got their numbers assigned today.
Oh, that's exciting. That's always like a great moment.
Well, obviously they didn't get them assigned to them.
Oh, Devin White, the linebacker from the Buccaneers, best linebacker in football, requested a trade from the Buccaneers as well. So now on the trade market, you've got Budda Baker, and even though the Buccaneers have said they are not considering trading Devin White.
Yeah, I saw. Hey, Brian, are you leaving? Oh, you both have good chemistry. I thought he was like, I'm out of here. You both have good. I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, Kyler does want to be traded to Call of Duty. I think that is his true passion.
He wants to go to play esports. He's like, Mark Cuban, sign me.
He got
'Cause Mark
guaranteed
Cuban-
money from the Cardinals, so he might as well just retire at a young age.
I
Play
can't believe
esports.
that too. Like,
So we got Draymond Jones, that defensive end from the Broncos. He's going to wear 55 this year. And Devin Bush, I don't know if you're a numbers guy. I think numbers are cool because, you want your players to look slick.
I agree. I like my certain numbers.
Yeah, Devin White is wearing number 11, and that pisses me off that a linebacker can wear number 11.
I don't like that. I just don't think it even looks good. Like,
Oh,
I'm sure you can guess what number I like for linebacker. Like
55, 52.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Fuck 50.
I'll even throw a 57 in there for Bart Scott.
I'm not a Ray Lewis guy. I don't. That's a hill I will die on, and everybody in the comments can kill me. I am not a Ray
time to
Lewis.
fight Joe Stevens.
Yeah, the Bobby's gonna wear his 54, obviously.
Yeah.
And then Julian Love's gonna wear 20. So
let's see. I like 20 because my Ed Reed, man. I love me some Ed Reed. Like, if I had to choose my all-time favorite player, man, dude, I might choose Ed Reed over Ray Lewis. Like,
I would.
Dude, the ability just to take a ball back 108 yards, like on someone like Peyton Manning, is just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if Earl's career wouldn't have gone south, if Earl would have stayed a Seahawk, he'd probably been retired and remembered as one of the greatest safeties of all time, Hall of Famer. But he went to Baltimore, and it just went off the rails.
Bro, maybe it's one of those stories. I hate to be that person when you got the wrong woman in your life.
No, that wasn't her. That was him.
I just remember, like, didn't she stab him or something? Like,
no, she held him at gunpoint because
that's right. He cheated on her.
Yeah, him and his brother were in the same bed with a couple different women. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be angry too, but
hey, at least you didn't kill him.
Just take half his money in court.
Oh, they're divorced now.
Oh, I bet they are.
No, they stayed together after that, but they're divorced now because something else that happened.
I know. That's like Ray Rice and his wife staying together. That was so sad, man. That broke my heart what happened with Ray Rice. Like, I loved Ray Rice. I did not expect him to be that kind of guy.
No, that's my thing is with Earl is everybody knew it was weird. Everyone, because he was with us. I mean, he was only with you guys a year. Like, you didn't get to know him very much. He was with us 9 seasons.
And even in the year he was with us, he caused so many issues in our locker room that we had like a leadership of people in our locker room, players that like have a council that like then go to the coach and like have discussions with him. And they were like, get this fucking dude out of here. Like, he never showed up for any film sessions on time. He always showed up for practice late. Like, he got the money and just became
Well, he was getting paid a shitload with us too. He was one of the highest paid safeties in the NFL. But like I said, Pete Carroll, right? Pete Carroll can make people listen. Yeah. And he was with us for 9 years. There was only one time that he went into the Cowboys locker room and said, hey, come and get me if I'm a free agent. And that pissed me off. That pissed everybody in Seattle off.
The coach couldn't do that. That's against the rules. Like,
yeah. So I don't know.
Did you see? I'm about to say, did you see? Justin Herbert had to undergo labrum surgery. He might not be ready for OTAs now.
Whatever. I don't put any stock into Herbert anyways. That guy.
Yeah.
I don't like the Chargers. I don't like the Chargers because I think their owner's a douchebag.
Really? What's the story with that? I've never heard anything about him. So like,
he wouldn't put any money up to keep the team in San Diego, but he put a shitload of money up to move the team to Los Angeles.
Oh.
Yeah.
And see, I didn't like when all the teams moved to LA because, like, basically, like, because from my understanding, like, of course, there was no fans there. Then when the NFL draft happened there, they had to pay people to fly there and put on jerseys for the fucking LA teams, basically.
That don't surprise me. They won a freaking Super Bowl. So I was talking to some of my friends the other day, my 49ers friends I have. And I said, honestly, the best thing about winning the Super Bowl is probably that parade afterwards. I mean, there's no joke. There was millions of people in the city, and none of the businesses were open. They were all shut down, and it was just everybody. I watched Marshawn. Somebody threw him up. It happened right in front of me. There's videos of it. Somebody threw him up a bottle of Fireball. He just opened it and started drinking it. He's throwing Skittles at everybody. It's awesome, right? The
Well,
Rams,
that
the
would be
Rams
fun.
parade. They're in one of the biggest cities in the world.
I saw that. Nobody, bro.
Yeah, so
I remember seeing. I'm like, I want to see if I can find that.
and then Matt Stafford. Everybody sucks Matt Stafford's dick, but
I actually heard news that he's lost his arm a little bit finally. Like it's
good.
finally not like a jug. The comment was it because they used to say he was like a human jug machine. They said it ain't like that no more.
Do you know what everybody? So a Detroit guy called into the Seattle radio station. Do you know what everybody in Detroit call him? They call him Pat Stafford because that's all he did was fucking pad his stats at the end of the game, and that's why he was. That's why he has so many of the passing yards he does because the Lions sucked.
He did, and man, dude, when he had Megatron, like what a golden age the Rams could have had. To be honest with you,
The Lions.
I'm sorry, yeah, the Lions with Stafford and Megatron, Calvin Johnson, like, bro,
And they
that
never
could
won a
have
playoff game.
the GM, the ownership was so incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just
Well,
everything.
How do you think I feel being a Mariners fan? I understand what it's like to be a Lions fan, but for baseball, and I'm not shitting you. The ownership sucks. I don't care what you say. They
I feel
suck.
bad for the Trailblazers, man. Get Damian Lillard. I feel bad for that dude. I love Damian Lillard, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
I think he's
Paul
a
Allen
fucking
owned the
OG,
Blazers
bro.
too. Paul Allen owned the Blazers and the Seahawks before he died. And Paul Allen didn't even want to buy the Seahawks. The reason why I love Paul Allen so much, he didn't even really like football, but he said he wants to do something for the city. So the Seahawks were supposed to move to Los Angeles in 1997. Paul Allen bought him and kept the team in Seattle. He fronted like half the money for the stadium.
Damn,
I mean,
that's a lot of money.
I think we need to take those bullshit sponsors off the side and change it from Lumen Field to Paul Allen Stadium. I really think that's what they should have done.
That would be nice, man. That money though, like
all the money's in the TV money. What screw the freaking whatever. Name it Paul Allen Stadium. He built it.
What would be nice is if you had a company that was willing to call it that. But it'd be like, hey, we're gonna put like
Microsoft.
Exactly. We'll put a giant ass thing on the side of our thing, but it's gonna be called the Paul Allen Stadium, like.
But not even like whatever Sports Authority Field at Mile High. Just call it Paul Allen Stadium or Paul Allen Field. Just do that. I think that would be awesome.
I've never liked Baltimore Stadium, M&T Bank.
I don't like stupid names like that. I don't like Lumen Field. I really don't.
What was the Charlotte Stadium when I went to the preseason game of the Panthers Ravens? Bank of America, Bank of America Stadium. Like,
well, at one point, there was the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta and the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in Louisiana. At one point, they were named the same thing. Mm-hmm. But you got anything going on this week?
I am going to try to be doing covering at least 5 players worth of film leading up to every day into the draft, basically. Hopefully starting tomorrow. That is my plan. We'll see if I follow through on it, but I think what I'm going to do is just run down basically a big board and start at number 1 or maybe I'll group positions together 5 at a time, top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 halfbacks. I'm not sure. If y'all ever want to drop in, y'all are more welcome to drop in too.
Yeah, you guys can come in if you want. On your channel. Sorry.
I was like, what you got going on? Is coming on the Sunday morning coffee show.
Yeah, we have Bryant has a Sunday morning coffee show. It got a little weird last Sunday, I will admit it, but it was great content.
What got weird about it?
Hey, David McNiner, if you're still in here, I'd also like to know about the SWAT team, if you got that all settled out.
Oh God. Oh, was that the one where the cap guy was on it?
Yeah. No, that was Saturday.
Okay. What time's the morning show? I think you told me, but I want to make sure I write it down again.
I think it'll be 1 p.m. your time.
1 p.m. my time, so 4 p.m. y'all's time.
Nope, opposite 10.
Wait. So it's 10 o'clock your time?
Yeah, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And he'll have, I think
Okay,
he even already has he already has it in his YouTube like schedule.
Okay, and I am.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I was looking at it because I had to go back and watch a part. A certain guy brought out his toenail collection.
What? Oh, that would be interesting content.
He was actually in our chat earlier. His name's David Corona. I think you probably met him before.
9 a.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, so on Friday night, David Corona brought out his frozen pea cup. And then and then on Sunday, he brought out his we had on Ryan's show on Friday. Dude, I'm telling you, you gotta call in next Friday. We had a couple WWE guys call in that were trolling us, and then one of them ended up kind of being a racist, so he got booted. And then we had a couple people mend their beef. They had beef, and then they kind of came on and talked it out.
I would love to be on that. I'm looking at the video now.
We did not talk about football. No joke. Probably ask Bryant.
They say know me. They have a saying in the South: "Blessed with the gift of gab." That's me. I can talk for hours.
Yeah. So they, Bryant and Ryan seem to think we talked about football for an hour and a half. We were on for 8 hours. I think we talked about football for maybe 25 minutes. It seemed like.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, we had a lot of characters.
Yeah, my schedule is always weird because like I don't know when my girlfriend works, and like I told Joe earlier, I've got we have randomly had to do overnights on what was it, Friday and Saturday night, I think. Yeah, because today's Monday, so we got Sunday, Monday off. So like, I would love to be on though. I'm trying to figure out because I'm trying to go back to school. I'm trying to get a new job. Like, got a lot of stuff going on.
David, did they bash in your window?
They were looking for a fellow that was visiting my renter a month ago. Local PD is replacing him because he never lived here and is not on. My God, David McNiner.
Did they bash in your window, David? Wow. Yeah, so we're on Corey's stream last night. What's today? Monday. So last night, David goes, "Hey guys, I gotta go. There's the SWAT team outside my driveway," and we're like, "Go take care of that." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on." We're like, "David, go take care of the SWAT team outside of your driveway."
Yeah. Am I getting swatted? Am I finally getting famous and getting swatted, guys?
Well, he has a duplex or something. David McKnight does, or not duplex, a triplex. So 3 houses in one.
Yeah.
And he rents the other 2 out. He said, so they were looking for somebody that's not
smart man.
You could tell it wasn't him though, because he was definitely like, "Oh yeah, there's a SWAT team blocking my driveway." And then we're like, "You better go check that out." And he's like, "Yeah." And then he starts saying stuff about it. We're like, "David, go check it out. What's going on?"
Bro, I've been there slightly. I used to live when me and my girlfriend first got together, we lived in like the ghetto, like heroin houses on all the corners. And there was a few big busts, let's just say that. Like I saw a lot of cops all the time.
Yeah, I stay calm about things. Cool.
Yeah.
You're better than me. I mean, I've never got a ticket in my life, knock on wood. And I see a cop somewhere, like if there's a cop cops don't come out where I live, but if there's ever a cop near my house, I'm like, man, what if they're coming for me? Or there was a fire truck that passed me on my way home. I'm like, did I leave the oven on? So
I've lived a very interesting life. I tell people, one of my favorite sayings is I would forever rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, meaning you don't have to like do everything, just I've done a lot of things in life. Like I've been on both sides. I've ran with the plugs and I've also ran with undercover narcotics and gang task force. And like I've told you before, I used to be a federal ground security coordinator. Things could get really weird sometimes. Like
I have a question, Levi.
Yeah.
Do you have a weird toenail collection or frozen teacup you would be able to bring in on Friday?
I don't think I have anything that interesting.
We did
Sadly.
also. We had a rapper on as well. I think I told you that he did some raps.
All right. We can rap. We can do some raps. We can freestyle. I'm that guy. It's funny. So, funny story. Back in the day, there was a guy, and he used to like pay me. I needed money for school because my job wasn't paying me enough, and I didn't really fuck with it. But he was kind of like a coke dealer, and
Brett
so he
says,
please, no, please. But he would pay me to drive like into the ghetto to go pick up the stuff for him and like drive him because I was a good old white boy. And just like the amount of times like cops would follow me and they'd be like, "Oh no, it's fine." Like I've gotten pulled over with drugs in the car. I don't do that kind of stuff anymore, thankfully. I went back to college and I literally told my friends, "I'm trying to get out of this life, guys. I'm trying to like get straight and live a good, honest life." Like,
yeah, well, it's good you got out of that stuff. I don't.
yeah, exactly. It's not a good thing. Like,
No.
and but I got pulled over one time and like, dude, we had a lot of shit in the car. Like I had a dealer with me in the car and the cop was, but just cops with me are just so, cause I'm just casual. I can talk with anybody. Like I've done it all. Like I told you the story. I thought I had one of my employees let a terrorist on the plane one time.
Oh yeah, well you worked at the airport, right?
So. Yeah, I worked for Delta Airlines for a while.
That's
good old times.
Tell Brian about when you met T.O., by the way.
Oh yeah, I've met Terrell Owens. He was a complete and total dick. I would love to come on, Brian. I just got to make sure I know it. I remember the time and set alarms. So when is the next show? It would be Friday or?
Yeah, Friday they'll do the call-in thing, and I'm sure you're more than it's Bryant's, but
yeah. So I was literally
Ryan's.
at the airlines, Bryant, and I was doing my what's called AQT, annual qualification trainings. Doing my thing, and we had a guy, a big Vikings fan. We called him Diesel D. His name was Darren, and Diesel D walks and he says, "Levi, I think T.O.'s checking in on the kiosk." And I look over, I'm like, "Bullshit, D. Like, T.O. ain't over on the kiosk." And I go back into the computer. He looks out there, looks back at me. He goes, "No, dude, I swear that's T.O." Like, so I get up, and at this point, T.O. had just torn his ACL. He was playing with the Cincinnati Bengals. And, I was like, no way T.O.'s here in South Carolina. Like, I know he's got like family in the area, but I was like, no way he's here in Myrtle. Sure as shit. I'm like, yo, that looks like T.O. So I work up the courage. I walk over. I'm like, sirs, you checking in, everything okay? Trying to be like the customer service guy. He's, yeah, man, everything's good. I was like, well, sir, do you mind if I ask, is your name Mr. Owens? Like Terrell Owens, the wide receiver for the Bengals? And he turns around, looks at me, and I'm like, and I'm like working up to give them the speech, like, Mr. Owens, I don't believe all these stories I heard on ESPN about you being a bad teammate. I've heard nothing but good things about how you've been coaching AJ Green. Before I can even get to it, he looks me up and down one time. I ain't got time for that shit. Like, and just like walks off. And apparently he gave shit to everyone at the airport. He was claiming someone, his flight, and don't get me wrong, his flight the night before apparently got canceled. He was like on the last flight out. He accused our flight attendants, though, of Delta flight attendants, of stealing his iPad that he just lost somewhere. And so he was in a bad mood. And he gave everyone in the airport shit the entire day. And we almost went over the intercom to just be like, "That's my quarterback," just to mess with him. But we didn't want to lose our jobs. So. But he gave some other people even more shit that actually apparently knew his mama that worked at the airport. So,
well, I think we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah,
if that's cool with you, we got a big show coming up next Monday. We got to actually prepare for this time.
Yes. So
sucks. I hate doing homework.
In regards to that, like, so let me ask, like, if I put up like a PowerPoint slide or something, would you be able to, like, I sent it to you, could you import it into StreamYard? Because I don't think
Yeah,
I can do.
I
Oh,
can
actually,
do that.
oh shit, I can present video slides and files.
Yeah, just no nudity.
Yep, it's there. Man, come on! What do you think I was trying to bring on the call-in show? I don't have a weird toenail collection. I was going to show awkward lighting dick pics. Don't you know? Do you prefer the Shantae light or the?
Yeah, no, we can do that. That'll be totally fine.
Okay, I'm gonna come prepared. So, like, for Monday, basically just draft coverage is what you're thinking.
Yeah, we'll do a big draft show.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not surprised, Brian. One of the people, Brian, I worked with was a flight attendant for a ton of years for Delta and United. And supposedly she had dealt with T.O. on the planes drunk a few times. And she had given me other stories about how he was always horrible on the planes. Like, so, man, no dog pics either. So you're saying I can't share classified documents like Discord servers on here either, Brian? God, you guys are no fun.
Before we leave, though, I want to say shout out Brian Culp for being on here as always. Shout out David McNiner. Shout out Exotic Soy Sauce, Chimera, Wild Horse 51 North American. It's a pretty long name.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to schedule all my shows either tonight or tomorrow, so keep an eye out.
David Corona, Steve-O, basically everybody that's hopped on here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do whatever you want.
20 seconds. Okay, Saturday talk. So it says 12 p.m. my time. So I think was what it says here for the Niners morning coffee talk.
Shoot, I forgot to do something.
I'm even going to put the notification on, so I get a notification, Brian Culp, so I will not miss it.
Brian, I can't figure out how to make you a moderator. You'll get a wrench one day, I promise. You'll be the first one. You and Ryan will be the first one to get wrenches, but I can't figure it out right now. I meant to do that before.
So. I had to Google it myself. No shame.
Okay. Anyways, hope all you guys have a great night. We'll be with you next Monday. I got a show with Ryan on his channel at No Border Sports on Wednesday. We'll do our NFC West talk.
Okay.
And then boom, we're getting so close to draft day. It's not even funny.
I looked up hotels the other day because I was still trying to think about doing it, but the prices are finally like triple what they were when I first looked.
Hey, maybe if they move it.
Yeah, Brian, I don't know if you saw that, Brian Culp, but
all right, guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna get out of here. Have a nice night, everybody. Thank you so much for